You're listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt, where we talk about hunting, shooting, fishing, camping, and everything else that the great outdoors has to offer. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, Merry Christmas. It's the last show of the year. It is Christmas Day, and I thought I'd love to shout out to everybody and wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. Have a fantastic day. I hope you get a lot of great presents. Hopefully they're hunting related, fishing related, or anything in the outdoors. A big thank you to everybody that listens and supports the podcast over the year for 2023. I've had an absolute blast doing it. It is just gone way bigger and better than I ever could have imagined. So a shout out to my supporters out there. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I also wanted to say a big thank you to all the guests that have been on the show. You guys are amazing. We had some fantastic guests in 2023, and I'm really looking forward to what I'm going to bring you in 2024 with some really good ones lined up already. We've hit some pretty big milestones, in my opinion, that not even the last podcast did. So being in the top 200 of all podcasts on Spotify. Yes, the last one did that, but nowhere near 116th, which is what this one did, which improved by so many spots, which is great. We also managed to be first on Apple Podcasts in the wilderness section so many times throughout 2023 and holding it for weeks at a time. So that's just a massive, massive thing. And also being in the top 10 for sports out of all sports on Spotify. Now that's a massive accomplishment. I'm really, really proud of how the podcast has performed for that. And the reality is it wouldn't be anything without you guys out there listening and supporting. So a big thank you to you guys. Not even sure why you do it because, you know, I'm a nobody. I'm not special. I'm not even that good a hunter. Probably average at best. But I do really appreciate the support and the listens. And hell, we're on track to hit over 100,000 in the first 12 months. So a big, big thank you to everybody out there in all 32 countries that listen. So I hope you have an absolute fantastic break. Enjoy being around the loved ones for Christmas. I hope those barrels are warm, the fishing lines are tight, and get out in those outdoors and have a great time. Enjoy the episode. All right, I've had a heap of people messaging me asking what the details were for my first deer. So I was waiting because I wanted to share it and talk about it with Dan, who was present, and he's been along for the journey and taken me on the journey as well. So here he is. Dan, welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Mate, oh, geez. It was, where do we start? Probably from the start.
There's a lot to it. It's more so the journey beforehand, you know, rather than the actual hunt or shoot itself, I guess.
I reckon so. I think it's probably one of those things that we connected, we started talking, and you had a property owner to meet and ended up taking us along to meet the property owner, and we went out there and that went really well. That was awesome from my perspective because I got to actually see that journey of getting access after meeting, going through the whole process, which was awesome. So I was super appreciative of just being along for the ride, and then going out for the hunt was really good. We saw a heap of fallow, just none on the right side of the fence.
It's always the way, right?
Even the first day we were there, I remember driving around with the farmer and we were looking over at the paddocks on the next property over, and just they were all out in the open, and that was probably, what was that, about 9 o'clock, 9:30?
Yep.
And they're just chilling.
Yeah, no hunting pressure, no nothing.
No, just sitting in a paddock. Oh, man, I told the wife about it, and she's like, why do you travel so far away when they're just all around us? And I was like, well, yeah, that's true. It's just hard to get onto something. So that was good. And then we went out there, but there was just nothing on the property. But like Land Services had done a cull, hadn't they, a couple of days before?
Yeah, pretty recently. But even that trip was so interesting for me. So that was the first time I seen fallow deer in numbers.
That was a good one. And I mean, you did, because you were spotting them pretty well over on the other property too, in behind things.
Yep.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? And then even getting around the property and finding where they were coming in and out, and the sign, there's just none on the actual property, but
gave us a bit of a good game plan of where they would be, especially coming into the rut. I think that's going to be a really good property.
Yeah, try call them in, eh?
I think so, yeah. And it's a nice property, so that'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Then there was another one. So obviously we're not going to use names of property owners or locations.
Yeah, you could kind of give general areas. But when I originally reached out to yourself, I hadn't really been hunting deer. Like,
yes.
not by choice. I just never really had access. So probably the start of this year, I went on a bit of a quest to try find like my own access.
Yep.
Like, got access to public land, but I've always wanted to try find a bit of a private block, a bit closer to home. So I live out pretty similar to area to you, like out Camden way. So I started reaching out to like different property owners, and it's been a pretty long journey. And we managed to get a bit of a meet and greet with that first property owner.
Yep.
And that's our property we're talking about before. That went pretty well. So, but I also managed to get access to a block out at Maroonland Way, and that was the first time I actually went out on a block and seen deer in the wild. And I've realised pretty quick that I knew absolutely nothing about deer. So I connected with you. We were talking a bit beforehand, and we we're going back and forth just talking about deer in general. So, and you gave me a few pointers, and I'm really appreciative of that. And,
I don't know how good they are because I hadn't gotten deer.
But one of the pointers you gave me was like they can smell you from a mile away, and that was pretty apparent that first morning hunt when I was out at Rusa on that block. So. There was a pretty nice fallow buck, and he sniffed me from about 200 metres away, and nose up and done the bolt pretty damn
amazing
quick. So
how good they are.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Like I'm in awe of deer. Like some people don't understand why you can have so much respect for an animal and still want to shoot it and eat it, but I'm in awe of them because they're just such an attuned animal. 200, 300, 400 metres, they smell you, and
blew my mind. Yeah.
Game
as
over.
soon as I felt that wind behind me, like the nose was up and it was gone.
It is. It's
long gone. So yeah,
and you don't get much time either. Like it's not like there's the wind. I've got a bit of time before I can take this shot.
Yeah,
it happens so damn quickly that wind changes, and you're like, the wind changed, and they're like, gotcha.
That was a pretty interesting first trip, like to actually go see a deer in the wild. But after that, we kind of got talking, and I thought. I was in touch with another property owner. That was someone we were talking about just before. And I thought maybe it'd be a good opportunity maybe to try to go out and block together. But I thought if we we're going to hunt that block, maybe I'll take you along from the journey, kind of from start to finish, like the actual initial meet and greet with the property owner.
That was good. Because I really haven't had that. And just even what you're talking about, what you need to know, just the conversation, what's important to the landowner. It was really interesting for me. Just as I said to you before, I was like, this is really good just to be on the side of it and hear the conversation, hear what's happened previously, what they want and the like. And it's so different between property owners too.
Yeah.
That was one thing I picked up.
That's what I'm finding too. And I feel like a lot of the property owners I deal with, they're just too time poor, right? Like they're sitting there, they're managing their farm, right? They don't have the time to be going around.
It's such a big
trying
job.
to manage animals, you know.
Yeah, unless you're a really passionate shooter or hunter.
Yeah.
It's just another job on the farm.
Yeah.
And I sort of appreciate that. And I think property owners get a bit of stick when they shouldn't, to be honest, because the way I view it is they're doing hunters a favour. Like I always sort of link the analogy to, would you like someone coming into your house anytime they wanted and with firearms? You don't really know someone very closely, especially like not in the first couple of goes either, when you're meeting someone. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I see both sides of it. I can see why hunters get frustrated because they want to be on there helping and, sourcing meat for the family or whatever it is. But then I can also see why property owners could be hesitant. And if they've had bad experiences too, that makes it worse.
Yeah, and I did find that a lot, like talking to a lot of different property owners. A lot of them have been burnt so bad in the past, right? So, yeah. So they've learned from, past lessons and they're super hesitant to let new hunters on the block. So unless they've been referred or, unless they know a family member or something like that.
And I get that. And then even with references though, the reality is you could just have a mate who's not a property owner say, yeah, they're on my property and he shoots, he's great. It's a good thing, but it's also something that might not be 100% accurate or truthful. Now you'd hope that most people are going to do the right thing and not start on a bad foot, but it wouldn't be that hard to do as well. So they're putting a lot of trust and faith in you letting you on. And it's pretty big. So you definitely want to be doing the right thing and following all their rules. And we'll touch on that a bit later when we get to the story. But so when from there we went out to...
So we went out to look at that first block. That was, to me, that was prime country. Beautiful block. Right?
Oh, it's beautiful.
And I can't believe it. It's where it is, right?
Great spot.
Yeah.
Great spot. Great
Still within a
potential.
stone throw from Sydney. Yeah, just...
Not...
But anyway, what were your thoughts on that block to go out there and just even to see? Like, deer? We saw deer the first day. I know it was on the neighbouring property, but, you know.
Saw them the first time. Yeah, look, I know they're around Sydney because they're they're around the corner from us, as you know now. But it felt like a property that felt like hunting, not shooting. And I think there's a difference in, whether you're just on there to shoot, like as a pest control method to help the farmer out, or that if you're actually getting on there to hunt, that property feels like hunting.
Yeah.
It feels like the type of property that I've always sort of, wanted to be on, in the sense that to be able to sit in some timber and glass and have a lot of distance to glass and be in, protection and be able to spot things and then, potentially stalk them or have a plan. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's in Sydney. It's cool. You're not having to travel, what normally I go 3.5 to 4.5 hours away to maybe get a glimpse of a deer.
Yeah.
And then you're on...
We're 30 minutes down the road with something.
30 minutes and you're seeing heaps, and you sit there and just go, wow, this is so different.
Grabbing our morning coffee on the way.
It is. And how, for me, it was like, how different is this that I can understand why people now want private, and that they're so, people get private and they're so protective of it because, wow, I obviously probably saw more deer in the 2 trips to that block than I have in state forests on multiple.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy when you think about it, because I reckon maybe we've spent 5 hours on the block. And when you're talking to the property owner and they just say, yep, there was 7 here the other day, or there was 10 here the other day, or there was 20 here the other day.
Like, I seem to be coming out there every 2 to 3 days, right? He's saying deer. So.
Yeah, it's crazy when you sort of sit there. You don't, I guess sometimes I feel a little guilty sometimes because I don't have that experience with property owners on the podcast, and I understand deer do need to be kept in check. And, I don't know if I articulate that well sometimes. I don't want them poisoned, but I do think there has to be methods, and I would like some sort of solution where everybody's happy. I think that's where we need to aim for. So when you're talking to the property owners that they don't want them there because they're a competing food source, we've been pretty lucky over the last few years in the sense that feed's been up because of the water. Now we're starting to drop off from the water. It's going to be super interesting how that ends up, and because now they're going to be full competition.
Yep.
So numbers have boomed because of good grain, good feed. But yeah, it'll be super interesting to see how that plays out on different blocks, and even property owners that don't want you there regularly, are they going to change their mind and say, we want you here a bit more because I need more animals taken?
Yeah, but that was interesting. Even on that block, the deer that are there aren't really impacting him at the moment. But he can understand that the numbers need to be kept down and the importance of it. So
100%. And that's where then it gets interesting with neighbours. And I've never really even thought about that with private property. Is that some neighbours don't want them touched.
Yeah,
and other neighbours want them gone, and then the deer know what neighbours want them around because that's where they tend to hang out. So that was super interesting.
Yeah,
but that was a good morning. So we went back a second time to that block.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we put a bit of a game plan in place.
Yeah,
after that first visit. So
but we
got there on first light.
That was
just
good.
Before first light.
Yeah,
so
that was good, and then good spot, a lot of potential. Saw deer, but again they were on the other side of the fence, which was fine. That kangaroo that was bedded down on the fence line that we snuck up on. That was a bit of entertainment.
Don't feel too bad. At least we didn't sneak up on a log or a stump. Right?
No, we did spot the right thing.
At least it was an animal, right?
Yeah, no, we spotted that and were able to sort of sneak up on him. He was having a snooze, but that was good because just even accessing the properties and seeing where they were coming in through what fence on multiple different areas of the property, because there's a lot of deer moving through that property. I think it's just a matter of being there on the right time when they're coming through, and you'll be on the money. So I'm looking forward to.
I think that block will pay off. Yeah,
it's
a matter of time. So I'm pretty excited to get back out there. So
that's a good one, and the farmer's a great guy. Like that, actually, we've been pretty lucky. The property owners have been really good people.
Yeah,
really, really good people. So it's been
definitely
a nice part to
Yeah, we're super keen to head back out there with the thermal.
Yes. Well, that's
I think that's going to be a game changer on that block.
So I was talking to a mate about this the other week, and there's so much controversy around thermals and using them for hunting. And I'm not sure why. I don't know. Like for me, it's just another tool in the toolkit.
Yeah.
And at some stage, I feel that people would have viewed binoculars like they currently do thermals, but now binoculars are just an accepted bit of your gear, or spotting scopes, or you know,
or
what
even
I mean?
going from like open sights to scopes in general, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that there's this hesitancy of saying, "Oh, it's not proper hunting," but I'm probably not old enough to know whether the iron sights, the scope, people went, "Oh, that's cheating. That's what it is." It's just another tool, and just another tool to use, in my opinion, and it's one that I think is handy to have, and anything that's going to help you do the job, whether it be hunting to put meat on the table, helping out the farmer, I can't see that being a bad thing. That's my standpoint.
I'd agree with that.
But yeah, the thermal, how good's the thermal?
Oh, my.
All right, so let's get into the next one. So,
all right, so not long after that, I got another opportunity for another block. And I thought that'd be another great one to drag you along to. So same kind of thing. I'll take you along for the journey, the meet and greet, and yeah.
Which was good.
It was good. No, it went extremely well.
Well, it went very well. So we met one property owner, and then, we were there for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
probably
just for that initial. Yeah. No, that went well. Even for that first initial meet and greet, we still got to do the walk around the property, get to know the block, get an idea of the boundaries of the block. And even on that first day, we did see deer.
We saw a lot of deer.
We did.
We saw a lot of deer. Like, they were far away. We couldn't tell what they were. We didn't have binos or anything. We just were walking the boundary just to get our bearings and think about shooting lanes and safety and the like. And we were walking along, and we looked over and just went, well, there's 8. We were watching them for a little bit and then spooked them. And then they went and joined another probably 10.
But when you say we spooked them, they didn't run very fast, right? They kind of just dawdled off, right?
Just sort of cruised. We know we're safe over here. We'll just, we'll give you a good look at us and tease you a little bit. And they did that. So that was really interesting. But that property owner has had some troubles in the past with shooters. So she was very cautious, which, hey, I got no issue with that whatsoever. But that's, as you said, the meeting went very well, went for a long time, and she was happy for us to come back, which was good. And then I guess the thing after that was I got my thermal.
Yep.
Which has been on the cards for such a long time. And I was just sort of waiting, and things popped up and I couldn't buy it. And then finally just went, yeah, I'm pulling the trigger, getting the thermal, and I end up getting the Hick Micro Griffin LQ35 with the rangefinder. So it was, man, what a good bit of gear. That is so cool to play with. And I think I was more excited going. So we went out for an afternoon as a first trip to the block Friday night.
Yeah, it was on the Friday night.
Friday night.
I was going back, 2-3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we went out there on a Friday night.
Just before sunset. Perfect timing, right?
Got there at 7-ish. Really good. It was a good time. We got there, could see plenty. I don't think it was getting dark till about 8:40. I think it was sunset was at about 8 o'clock, just after, and then you basically had shooting light up until about 8:40. I think it was, off the top of my head. So somewhere there. So there was plenty of light going. So I think we met the other property owner, and we had a yarn to him.
Oh, he's a good lad, isn't he?
Oh, great guy.
But even at that point, though, like even where we saw, because we're only talking a very small hunting block here, but where we saw the deer the last time in that neighbouring paddock, at that point when we were talking to the property owner, there was a couple of people walking up on his fence line.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
But I'm pretty sure they did jump his fence.
They did, yeah.
At that point, right?
So, yeah. So we're there having a chat, and you can oversee a fair bit of the property. And, they were up walking along the boundary, and he was like, what the hell? No one should be on that other block.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. And then whilst we were sort of watching them, then they jumped the fence, which then clearly showed they were actually on his property. Yeah, that's...
But even at that point, that's why I thought we blew our hunting chances for the night, right? So,
Wow, yeah.
because that's where we saw the deer last time.
And that's where we thought
In that small paddock.
that was
right on
one
that
of the main areas that we were going to check out.
Yeah.
That was where we were going to go. So we sort of like, if people having them walk up and down there when they shouldn't be there, that's not great. So yeah, you're right. That was sort of, we were like, oh, geez, that's interesting. But yeah, so we had a long chat to him, probably a good half hour.
Yep.
At least a good half hour. And then went, let's get into it. And pretty windy. Probably the perfect wind. It was strong, but it was going across the property in one direction, which would have worked. It pretty much worked well for us either way, because we would have attacked the property left to right, which was perfect because, they wouldn't scent us at all. So we got the gear and then started going for a wander into the wind to check out an area that we had been, again, knowledge from the property owner that they said, hey, this is a good area, same as this one. So we started walking down there, wind in the favour, wind in our face. And I was playing with the thermal. I think you were too. We were just scanning the whole
to be honest,
property.
I was just fascinated with this thermal, right?
Mate, I was too. That was the thing.
And we were right on last light too, right?
It was clear enough that we could see.
Yeah, it was still picking them.
But we were grabbing the thermal and scanning the paddocks just for the hell of it, to really just playing around, because I was more excited to play with that than anything else. I didn't take binoculars. I took the thermal. I wasn't going to use binoculars on the property. I wanted to use the thermal. And then, so we're scanning to the left, and I remember looking to the right and going, oh, there's a deer.
But at this point, how far are we into the walk? 10 minutes best? Because we'll stop looking at cows.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. when you say 10 minutes, we were definitely not meterage by 10 minutes. It was a very short walk, and it was probably, I reckon, a majority of the time was stopped just stuffing around with the thermal.
Yeah.
We weren't being loud and yelling or anything like that. We were still trying to be silent. But yeah, we were mucking around with the thermal. It was it's just so much fun. And then, I just spotted this deer on the right-hand side and just went, that is in a really good position. So
like we were saying before, it's quite a small block and there's a lot of neighbouring properties and houses, right?
Yeah, so you've got to be in your shooting lanes for safety.
So there was only a few kind of select spots in that where we could, and just where
it was just the perfect spot.
You could not ask for a better spot.
And essentially, so the way it worked was we were sort of up and then it dropped down into a creek, and the deer had basically come out of the creek or the dam, and it's got pretty decent cover in there. So they probably would have been bedded down there next to the water source, and they've come out to feed, but it's in a depression. So on the other side was quite a steep little slope. So you had this perfect backdrop. So even if you stuffed up, it was just perfect backdrop for it. And then you were shooting above, down as well. So it was fantastic. And then on top of that, it was the perfect area. Well, sort of the perfect area for a stalk. The grass was super long, and I don't know if you picked up on that, but how noisy it was. I think we were lucky that there was a lot of wind.
Yeah.
Because that covered a bit of the noise in stalking over.
But even trying to get through that gate, I thought we were
the gate too, because that was a rattle, trying to get through the gate because they were on one of the other paddocks. So we started walking over, but we're very lucky. There's a few trees, and they're sort of in a line spaced out about 10 meters apart. So I tried to use the tree to keep the tree between myself and the deer, and creep up to the tree and then go to the next one. And that's what I did to stalk in. And so by the time I got to the second tree, I didn't have a shot, but I could see them, because at this stage I worked out there was two there, not just the one. I'd only seen the one before it sort of, as it was moving across feeding across the little sort of gully or depression. And then when I got to the second tree, I went, oh, there's two. And then decided I'll go to the third tree. And by that time, got over to the third tree and was able to, I had the tripod, the Ridgeline speed stick tripod, set that up nice and quiet, just slid out, was able to set it up at the right height, get the rifle on there, look through. And this is still well and truly easy shooting. I've spoken about how my scopes really perform badly in low light. The picture was clear as day. So by this stage, it was probably 740. 7:45.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So it hadn't been sunset yet. So we still had a good hour and a bit of shooting light if we're in a state forest. So there was no need for a torch or whatnot. So it was just running the normal scope, running the 243, the Tikka T3X 243. I was running Deer Season XP 95 grain projectiles. And so was able to slide one into the chamber, nice smooth bolts, nice and quiet with the Tikka. Had it rested, checked what was happening, looked through the scope, and I must have made a noise because both deer looked up, and they then turned and were facing, looking at me, but they wouldn't have been able to make my outline out because I was half behind the tree, half over, so I wouldn't have stood out. I wouldn't have stood out like a person straight away. And then I had the Excape Camo on too, and I love that camo pattern too. I just think it's so good for a variety of terrain. And so they were just looking straight down the barrel. So I lined up, and probably, I don't know the exact range, but I'm guessing around 80 metres would be my guess, 60 to 80.
I would probably say 60, roughly.
60, yeah, 60, yeah. So around that, and then just straight down the chest, put it straight in, and then the...
Which way was the deer facing at that point?
Facing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so both were facing me, looking straight at me. So I put one straight into its chest, and then, happy days, went 20 metres and dropped. So then we went and put the rifles away, or the rifle away, and got back out to get the deer. I will say this, what a win having the farmer around to bring down the buggy for us to lift the deer straight onto the back of the buggy and have him take it back where we can butcher it up and reverse the car down.
I feel like we did not work hard at all, right?
I can understand why people like private. That was insane. We found the deer. We literally went 20 metres, pulled it across. The farmer says, I'll bring down, he heard the gunshot, so we took the rifle back, locked it all up, put everything away, made sure everything was 100% done, and you jumped in the buggy with him. I walked down, opened some gates, and went and threw the deer on the back end and took it back. Happy days. So we got back up there and we were close to the car, close to water to wash out the cavity once we got to that part, and what a win that was. So easy. I was just sitting there the whole time going, it wouldn't be like this if I was hiking 5 kilometres through a state forest to bring it back. Like, it was just...
It was not backbreaking work at all, was it? Yeah.
Well, it had a different element to it. So I don't know if you picked up on this, but when we took it back and then we had to start butchering it, the property owner wanted to stay around to watch because he was interested because he'd never seen it before. Geez, that was an extra layer of pressure. I was sitting there going, for the first deer, and I'm trying to cut it up and have him watching and not want to look like an idiot that doesn't know what I'm doing too, because I'm sitting there going, if I stuff up and look like a complete clown, he might not want me on here because he's, yes, we've done the right thing and we've knocked a deer over and he'll be super happy about that, but he might not be happy the fact that I don't know what I'm doing with the thing afterwards. So that was interesting. That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, geez, it's a bit of added pressure to get the job done here, but here's what it is. So that we got straight into that.
I always wondered, listened to your podcast like before we met, and the lead up to it, and talking to you about it, what your like initial reaction would be once you dropped your first deer. Like if I was going to be there for it.
Well, what was it? Because I don't really.
You just looked at me and you just said, "We got meat."
Well, there you go. I do say I'm in it for the meats. That's it.
Can confirm.
I will get to that a bit later, but there's another part that I think is super funny, and people will probably think I'm the biggest idiot out there. But yeah, so we got it up there. I was super excited, like that we got one. I was just like, this is crazy because it happened so bloody quickly. I was expecting us to get home at like 2 a.m.
That's what I thought. I thought we'd be there for the night with the thermal. And
so did I. And that was the plan. We were there literally. It was there not so much for a hunt. It was there to help him out and knock a deer off because there's a lot there. And I was not expecting it to go down like that. Like it was we spent way more time talking to the property owner and just having a yarn before we got out there than we did actually hunting.
Yeah.
It was insane. Like it was just, it felt a bit too easy. But I mean, hey, at the end of the day, I was, as I said, I wanted meat.
That's it.
So we got it up and then gutted it. I got to use my new tool. I'm all about tools, guys. You know that. I talk about it all the time. But do you remember what I was using, what the tool was?
Oh, your butt plug, mate.
That's not a butt plug. That's what you call it.
I have never seen that device in my life.
All right. So to fill listeners in, if you haven't, it's called the Butt Out 2.
You're telling me it's not a butt plug, mate.
It's okay. It's shaped very much like a butt plug, except it has hooks on it so that you basically push it in up the anus and then you twist until it gets tight and then you give it another sort of half twist and it locks onto the internals and then you pull it out and it brings everything out so you can then just literally put a cable tie around the poop chute, give it a cut and happy days. You don't have to worry about actually cutting around the old anus. And I've been dying to try it. I've had it. And so the bright orange butt plug, as you call it.
Your bag of tricks, right? Yeah.
Got to use it. Worked a treat. Was super quick.
No, it actually did work.
How good was that?
Yeah,
it was actually bloody good. Like I was sort of shocked at how easy and good it worked because having, even when last time I got the goats, cutting around it's fiddly. Yeah. It's a pain in the ass. Whereas that was 5 seconds. In, twist, pull, out, cable tie, done. And I was like, how good is this? So that was crackers. The other thing that was really good is I had the knife roll in the car. So I was able to use, I don't know if you haven't checked them out. I can't remember what they're called, but I'm pretty sure it's Victorinox. And it's a blade that's curved backwards just to open up the cavity. And it's got a ball on the end so you can't pierce the internals so you don't, open up the gut, the stomach or anything like that. That works a treat because you don't have to worry about it. That was good. But then it gets to the next tricky part, right? So we spoke to the property owner and said, what do you want done with the guts? And he's like, I don't want them here. And that's fair. Cool. It's his property. And then we went, all right, well, and he goes, I've got a big bag. So then it was a bit more fiddly because we were having to maneuver the deer so that once we...
And we're up on it was just this slightest hill?
It was a slight bit of a hill, which was good because it helped out with gravity a little bit. But then, trying to move it, roll it, have this bag under it to sort of catch the guts and pull the gut pile out into it was definitely a challenge. But he didn't want it there. And hey, respect the property.
That, right?
Yeah, respect the property owner for sure. So we somehow managed to get that done and we got it all in the bag. And then we just picked that bag up, threw it into the back of the ute and Bob's your uncle. That was a good start. And then washed out the cavity because we got the hose down there, which was good because the bullet bounced around in that poor thing. Well, I shouldn't say poor thing because it dropped in 20.
But you didn't realise until you started cutting it up, right?
Correct. Yeah, I didn't sort of see. Great job on the bullet. Like I will say that.
I'm just surprised at the impact of that 243. Right?
Oh, 243 dropped it and decent animal. And it basically went straight in, went through both ribs and done a lot of damage to both ribs and obviously the lungs and whatnot. So it bled straight out, which fantastic for the meat quality and everything there. So the only thing I was disappointed with is that it did take out a shoulder.
Just minced that shoulder.
Just minced it. It just moved it around, which is pretty interesting, isn't it? So it took out, it must have just fractured and because it's taken out 2 different sides of the rib cage, even though I shot straight down the middle and it's minced up that shoulder as well. So it's pretty crazy when you think about what that bullet must have just ricocheted off bone and moved around. So good in the sense that the animal went straight down. So I was really happy about that. I'm not going to lie. That's always in the back of your mind, especially. And for the first one, I wanted to make it really ethical and a clean kill, which it was. So we got that job done and chucked it in the back of the ute. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, we went back and we were both pretty hungry. So we got a feed, went to Hungry Jack's, I think it was.
Yeah, Hungry Jack's on the way back, yeah.
And I remember you coming out when we got the food going, that took longer than getting the deer.
That's what I always remember this as, the time we waited longer for a Hungry Jack's order.
It did feel
your first deer, right?
Mind you, it took a long time. It took us a while to deal with the deer after we got it down. The work started once we got it down. So that was pretty funny. And then we shot back to mine and then started breaking it up, and that went pretty smoothly, I thought.
So we're having the discussion like when we were taking the guts out and that on the property about the coat on it. I thought you would keep it being your first.
Oh, yeah, this is really interesting.
Did that ever occur? Did you?
No,
because you didn't keep it. Like,
I didn't
regret
keep
it
it
now. Like,
no,
thinking back on it?
not really. Pretty interesting. We didn't even really take photos. Like you took a few and a video and things.
I took a video of the actual the shot itself.
I took literally the photo of the hair and then the photo of the deer just where we found it, and that was it. Because I also was in the back of my mind with the property owner there. I didn't want to come across as, I don't know. I just didn't think it would look great, and I didn't want that to happen. I don't know. That was in the back of my mind. So it wasn't really a big celebration. It wasn't any posing for photos, and yeah, I don't know. It wasn't. To be honest, it's funny that you say I don't remember me saying we got meat. I don't remember that at all. But that's probably where I was thinking. I was sort of in. I feel like it was in the process mode. Like, yeah, okay, got it. Now we got to get the guts out because it's quite warm. I want to get the guts out so the meat doesn't spoil. And it was almost I was attacking it methodically.
Yep.
So the last thing on my mind was the hide, and I sort of was like, yeah, I don't know. I think it wasn't sort of. I think the podcast is also a bit about that too, because I've got like this story, so I'll always remember it because I'll talk about it like we're doing now, and then so the photo really didn't worry me too much, and keeping the hide didn't worry me too much. And I think also is this time of year they're starting to molt, and I don't know if you picked that up with the hide. It was molting.
Yeah, it was pretty rank.
It was pretty. It wasn't great. So I sort of looked at that too and went, wow. That came into it. When you get your first deer, you're going to keep the hide?
No, probably not. I'll just take the meat. And
I think it's interesting. Everyone has hunts
not
for
for that
reasons.
reason, though. Like me and my partner, we got very different views on hunting. So yeah.
You've met my wife. My wife's similar. She's not against it. Just doesn't want to be involved in it.
Yeah.
See it, which I respect. I get that. Like she's by no means anti-hunting or anything like that. She loves the meat. Like the meat's fantastic and loves cooking it and wants me to get more deer. But yeah, she just doesn't really want to see the dead animal and things like that. And I get some people like that, so it doesn't really bother me too much. Yeah, so it didn't really...
Much like you, in it for the meat.
Yeah. I think...
I've taken a few go-aheads over the time, but they don't live in my place. They live at friends' places.
Yeah.
So, I just got to respect
Just Euro-mounted? Yeah. I think I'm the same. I know I've got nothing against taxidermy or anything like that. I don't think it's something that I'd ever do. That might change in the future, but for the moment, I can't see that happening. I think maybe a Euro mount, if I got like a really nice stag that looked cool, and I'd probably do that. But I don't know. It's just not I'd probably want to buy another rifle for the same sort of price that
you pay for the taxidermy.
Yeah, or get something, like upgrade the scope, or get a better backpack or something along those lines. That's probably where I'd go personally.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. Everyone's different, and hey, each their own. I've got no issues with what anyone wants to do in that respect, as long as it's legal. Yeah, so we got back. I'll tell you what, having you there to butcher, super helpful. Geez, it was so much easier than the last time I did it on my own. Just you being able to pull back a joint and me being able to get under or move, and
because we didn't hang it, we had it on the table.
We did on the table.
And it was pretty tricky to manoeuvre, but
that's a pain in the backside.
You would be struggling.
The last one, it is. You sort of, when I was moving and trying to quarter it and skin it, and trying to make sure that it's as best possible. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It was, but I thought that went relatively quickly. I think we got out of there about 1. And that was...
I'm trying to think what time we would have got back to yours. It was getting pretty late. I think it was about...
I reckon we got back to ours at about 10-ish.
Yeah,
10:30.
And I think I left about 1 or something.
No, it was about 10:30 because the wife was still up.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I went in, I was like, geez, you're up late, because she's usually in bed before that. And I was like, okay. So it was about 10:30. So it took us about 2.5 hours. And that was with a bit of stuffing around, getting plates, getting different stuff. I definitely want to look at something to hang and make life a lot easier. That was a pain. That was annoying, to say the least. And then you're dealing with fur hair getting on.
Trying to pull it back, trying to keep everything as clean as possible.
Yeah, you're getting the hair on it, trying to keep it as neat as possible. where you put the meat, trying to keep the table clean because there was a lot of dust and dirt that was getting on the table then. And although we did a pretty good job, the dogs were loving it.
Yeah, given the circumstances, yeah.
They were just, flicking off cuts and things like that were sort of mashed up. And when we got to that shoulder, we were sort of trying to salvage as much possible for the dogs because it was just
trying to cut around what was salvageable.
It was pretty bashed up. And then we... I think I reckon your favourite part of cutting it up was when we got the recip saw out with the
because I've never used one, right? Yeah.
Well, so I bought
for butchering, that is, right?
Yeah.
But,
so I bought the blades, the food grade stainless steel blades, for breaking up the ribs.
Oh, just the time.
And how good was it?
Yeah.
I
just ripped through that bone.
I'd only got those blades a couple of weeks beforehand, and it was great. Just ripped through, and that that would have been harder with one person, because we were able to angle it and hold it and sort of pull against it, so it was easier to cut through. That saved us a hell of a lot of time. So that was really good.
My accuracy wasn't too good with that thing there.
you can tell that story. I don't want to get in trouble for getting a guest on it and then bagging the crap out of them. What happened, Dan?
Do you like backstrap with your ribs?
That was. I didn't even realise.
It was just the angle of the cut.
Yeah. It's like, what do you reckon? You took a third off the backstrap, maybe?
Yeah, it was a good third off the backstrap.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Which
we sort of salvaged what we could. But,
it wasn't a big deal.
But in fairness, that was the first time I butchered a deer, right?
Yeah.
So,
I made plenty of mistakes. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So I don't know if you noticed that the property owner trying to get the diaphragm, and so all the guts would just come out. I thought it was done, and then there's some little bit connected somewhere else. It was a pain in the ass. So I'm by no means an expert, far from. I was butchering it. And I think I made that joke with the property owner is that, it's a good thing it's called butchering because I keep stuffing up. But, when you took that, you did a great job with the ribs and then just took a little bit of the backstrap, one backstrap. The other one was perfect. So that came out. And that the good side one, I cut up and I put that on the socials. Geez, that came up nice. That came up real good. So we got out of there. We broke it down, put it in the fridge overnight.
I think we did a pretty good job though. Like there wasn't much left on the actual carcass itself though.
Yeah. We took a heap. I think it was...
There was not much left.
No, I can honestly say I think we utilised 95+% of what we could comfortably. Yeah, we spent a fair bit of time to get it right. So I was really happy with how much meat came off. Then put it into the fridge overnight. I think you were busy over the weekend, so I just butchered it up into cuts and got out the vac sealer and sealed it up so we could wet age it, and did that for a week. And then we were good to go. We got some good cuts. We got some shanks. We got some some roasts, and tried to do a little bit with it. And I tried to give you as much as leeway as possible so you could create your own things, because that was a big one for me. I was like, I don't want to just make the decision. I want to give you plenty of opportunity to, whether you want to make some jerky, whether you want to do a roast with it, do you want steaks. I just thought I'll debone it and have your muscle together, but leave it like that so you can make the call.
Yeah,
because I know you love cooking and you got straight into. I'll say that you had eaten the deer before I had. I'm
pretty sure that day I picked it up from your place.
You picked it up, and I think you did
that the next morning. I think it was
the next morning, the slow cooker and the stew. Yeah. And yes, it was, because the next you sent it to me and said, I can confirm. I still remember the message. I can confirm Rusa is delicious, and it did look good. I will say that it did look very good. And I think then I think I gave it 2 more days, and then I went, yep, okay, now I'm going to have some. And so I went, yep, bang, put some together in a jerky. So marinated for some jerky, and then cooked up some steaks, and then just thin sliced garlic, salt, pepper, butter in the cast iron skillet, and unbelievably good. How good was it?
Oh, it's unreal.
It's just, wow.
Well, that's the first time I've tried Rusa.
That's the first time I've had Rusa, yeah.
And the only other deer I've eaten before, I've just really had fallow backstraps.
Yeah.
Which have been beautiful, but yeah.
Top notch. I would never knock that back. Yeah, I was...
Even before you came here today, I took your suggestion, just butter and garlic in the pan.
Yes.
A bit of salt and pepper.
Yeah.
On the cast iron pan. Oh.
How good is it?
Unreal.
It's
slightly thinned, yeah.
Beautiful. I don't think you can go wrong. You don't need to go too fancy. And it just tastes absolutely amazing. I think I would, if I was introducing people and they were coming over to game meat, I reckon that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Simple, easy. You can't really overcook it because it's so thin. Just quick flash fry in the pan. And the flavour is just sensational. There's no gaminess. No gaminess. And I didn't find it anyway. Yeah, pretty good. So I did the jerky. I brought you some tonight.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to try that.
It's good. So I actually, on the jerky, so I took it to, I have a street Christmas party. And I thought, it's a good opportunity. I don't know some of these people, new people, blah, blah, but that could be a nice little intro to get people thinking about, hunting in a positive manner. So I took the venison jerky down there and everybody loved it. And it got those conversations started talking about, did you get it yourself? Is that, one of the girls there, it was pretty funny. She goes, is that legal? And I was like, yeah, and talked through it. And she's like, oh, cool. And then she's like, absolutely delicious. And it was funny because she I thought originally she was so against it. And then as with the parties going on, she's forcing people to eat it and said, Matt shot this and Matt made this. And it was pretty cool to see, to be honest. So that was a really interesting one. A lot of people that hadn't even thought about it.
Because no one ever really takes the time to, listen to the story,
They don't, and they don't.
Before it gets to the plate and how much it means to you, as a person, right?
Correct.
It's just
and how long it took, and even the jerky, they asked us, how'd you make it? And I said, okay, I marinated it for 72 hours in this, and then I had to dehydrate it, and that took 6 hours, and checking, at the 4 hour mark and checking everything to make sure it's right, and it's a lengthy process. I'm out already, so I'm gonna have to make some more because it was great and sensational. So that was a really interesting one. So getting back to why people probably think I'm a massive idiot. So I obviously sent the photo of the deer, the limited photos of the deer. I think I got some good ones of me cutting it up. You took some when I was cutting it up, and then the one of it sort of just laying there. So I sent it to a couple of mates and basically, got my first deer on the deck. How cool. Super happy. And one of them wrote back and went, nice Rusa, mate. I was like, and I just instinctively wrote back, nah, mate, fat fallow. And then I went, I never actually looked what kind of deer it was. I didn't even think about it. I never paid attention. I was just in the mode of get it cooled, get it sorted for the meat. I didn't realise it was a Rusa until someone else had pointed it out to me. I'm sort of I'm a bit taken aback at that, but that's the reality. And, I'm an honest person. I know people think I'm probably a moron, but hey, I just went, I didn't even look. That shocked me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
But even that first time we went out to that property and we were looking in the distance, we're pretty far away. It was pretty hard to tell, but we made the assumption that they were fallow, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about Rusa being an option there. I just thought, fallow, not far from where we are, fallow. And I didn't really even look, and being just sort of took it for granted that it would be a fallow, I suppose, and I didn't really check. So it was not until my mate sort of pointed it out, and to the point I actually went back outside and went to the bin and pulled the head out and went, holy shit, it is. It was sort of that shock, and went, oh, okay. Felt stupid. I'm not going to lie. So I do appreciate that. And a couple of mates said, yep, Rusa for sure, which I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Would that have been the first time you've actually seen Rusa?
Yeah, close, yes. Driving up Mount Ousley, you see them on the side of the road, but never up close and personal. Yeah, so pretty easy to tell the head, but I didn't really ever look at the head. I didn't even think about looking at the head because you don't take meat off the head. Even the head, I didn't keep the head. Wasn't that was never on the cards to keep it. It just sort of got all the meat off and put it in the bin, to be honest. I did keep some hide for me mate Frank and for his dog, so kept a fair bit of the hide and froze that up. But other than that, I didn't really go into that. So that was different. I felt like a bit of a dickhead afterwards, but hey, I mean, it is what it is. So,
don't worry, I won't judge you.
No, it's people can judge. That's cool. It doesn't bother me. I'm not perfect, so I do have to laugh though. So all right, we dumped I'll put the hand up. Thank God I live on a bit of land because
we're talking about bin day now.
The bin day, yeah. The gut pile in the bag going into the bin. Well, that leaked, and it leaked crap right through it, through the bin, and then the rest of the carcass, what was left, went in, and it must have been leaking a bit as we were throwing it. I think the shoulder was pretty bad when I was throwing that in the bin. So the next day when I looked at it, it was just blood splattered all over the bin. I did a bit of that night. I hosed off the driveway, thank God, so it didn't stain or anything. But the bin was okay, but the bin was rank. The smell after 2 days in the sun.
I was going to say we're like 30 degree days.
30 degree days. They were the hot, good heat days.
Just cooking away in there.
It was bad. It stunk. And so funny enough, I went and put the bins down, and then I came home on the Monday after bin day, and there's a cop car sitting out the front of my house. And I'm sitting there going, I wonder if someone smelt it and think I've like hacked up a body or something, which technically I have, but it's a deer body. And they're there for me. They were for a neighbour, but I did have a bit of a giggle at that. And someone had moved my bin. You know how they drop them sort of just back down, and it was actually sideways. So someone's actually, and I could see the marks in the grass and dirt where they've turned it, which was pretty funny. But at the bottom of the bin, there was all blood still there, like the liquid. So it was still just rank. It still stinks a little bit, but I was, what do you do? I had a good giggle at that. I was like, glad we didn't do this in like a suburb with a close neighbour, like a couple of...
Well, that's why I opted to go to your place, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's more rural. I'm proper suburbia. I don't think my neighbours would appreciate that.
I don't think so either. But no, that worked out well. That was good. And then got that done. And then, happy days. So that got sorted. Oh, we didn't touch on how fat the deer was.
Yeah, that surprised me. I thought it was pregnant.
Holy crap. It was
well fed, living
he was living the dream.
Yeah.
It was living the dream. It would, like, probably, if it was human, the BMI is saying morbidly obese.
Yeah.
The fat layer, and it was a real sticky, waxy fat too. Yeah. I was flicking it off when we were trying to, like, chop and throw it. And
because what was that section that you kept or you wanted to keep? Like the stringy...
core fat.
That was it, core fat, yeah.
Yeah.
The mental blank there.
Yeah, the core fat. I stuffed up with that because I dropped it a few times and it had crap right through it. And it was I end up, and it started breaking. It was a bit painful, but I ended up, by the time we got home, and it was covered in crap, and I just went, no, it's probably not super healthy to have a crack at that. So that was disappointing. I'll try and be better next time butchering for that. But yeah, the fat was waxy. Like, I was flinging it. I don't know if you remember, I had that big cardboard box that I was putting some offcuts for the dogs in to make dog food later. And I was throwing the fat, and it was hitting the side of the cardboard box and just sticking.
Yeah.
And staying there. And it was just like, it was super sticky. And then even the plastic table we were cutting up on the next day, it still is. It's like coated in it's like a wax. Yeah, pretty interesting. But geez, it was fat. I cannot believe how fat that thing was. It was thick and white. So it was a bit yellowy.
Like, if you took an estimate, how much meat do you reckon we would have?
So I weighed it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I ended up weighing it. So I ended up weighing, without the shoulder and without the dog food and the offcuts that we sort of went, don't want to chance it, we'll get rid of that. It came in at, I think, 18.1 kilos.
Yep.
So you got to think, all up, I would be saying it'd be over 30 kilos of meat, I'd say. So it was a pretty good haul. And that's also chopping a lot of the fat off as well. So it was a pretty good haul off it. Yeah. And look, there was some bone in that because we kept the ribs intact, and I just cryovacked a whole section of ribs. What are you going to do with them?
I did see a recipe. I'm a lazy cook, man. I'm just going to throw it in the slow cooker, like a specific way, and probably just put it under the grill in the oven, I think.
That's all right.
That's what I'm thinking, but yeah.
That's fine. That'll turn out nice.
Yeah, pretty excited to try them though.
I think they'll be good because they fair bit of meat on them too. I was quite shocked at how much meat. They'll be good.
Mine's got heaps of meat. I've got a third of the backstrap on it.
Do you?
No, I don't.
I was going to say,
just winding
I
you
don't
up.
remember that. But yes, it was a real positive. I think I was super happy with just the amount of meat we got. Look, it took us a long time. I think like the vac sealing, I think it took me 6 to 8 hours getting everything sorted, but I wanted to make it presentable and nice and whatnot too. So I took a fair bit of time, not rushing, and to get it right. And then we'll drop some off to the property owner because they want to try it. They've never tried it, so that was good. They were happy.
Property owner was super happy too.
Yeah.
Like even those hunters prior to us, I think they've been out there a handful of times and haven't been able to harvest anything off there. So
yeah,
I think they were just stoked.
I reflected on that and went, geez, perfect. Like first time on the property, obviously not for the initial meet and walk around, but first time out there with a rifle, 10 minutes, job done.
Happy days.
Happy days. Everyone's happy, safe. No
drop
issues.
Off some meat. They haven't tried venison before. They're pretty excited
we'll do
about
that.
it. So.
So hopefully that cements our relationship with them. They're lovely people, so that's pretty cool. So that part of the journey's just been cool too. Like the whole thing's been it's been a cool journey, and I appreciate like our friendship and you taking me along for a lot of it because you didn't have to, and it's been great. It's been and the meat's just
it's a bonus, right?
How good is it? I don't know. I was talking about this to someone. I was like, I don't know if it tastes better because I did it. Like it's come from like the time and effort that I've put into cutting it up, I should say we, because you were there too, and that's cool. That's super cool. So I'm now super excited for you to get yours. And it will come. Let's go back to that because I felt super guilty because you wouldn't take my rifle.
Kind of in fairness though, right? Like I said before, I've always wanted to chase deer. I've never had access. It's only been since the start of this year I've actually tried to look for access, right? And from my first proper hunt on a block for deer, that's probably going back 4 or 5 months now, right?
Yeah.
And how long have you been chasing one?
I started in probably end of 2018, the back half of 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't feel right.
Oh, no, so I thought the opposite.
I was okay to wait that little bit longer.
Oh, so I thought the opposite. I was sitting there going, I felt a bit guilty because it was your contact and you've taken me along for the ride. And I was like, no, you should. And then you said, your rifle's a bit too big for the property.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, use mine. like, it's cool. I was more than happy I would have been there like with you for the journey too. And you wouldn't have a bar of it. And then I was like, all right, well, I think there's going to be more opportunities anyway.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty more in the future.
I think so. Yeah. So I think that's cool. And I'm looking forward to them. They're going to be fun. And I can't wait for the meet. And, it's such a win. I'm so happy that it
still blows my mind. Like, we're driving an hour within Sydney, right? And
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good now.
Meat shopping.
Well, it is. It's just like, it is. And then it's so, I said, when people ask me, how did it feel? I was like, processing it, I just went through the motions, to be honest. Like, it wasn't really like celebrate. I hear people jump up and, say they're fist pumping and shaking, and it never really happened for me. I don't know whether it's just like expecting that it would eventually happen. It would just play out. But I was just more so methodical in going down what needed to be done because I didn't want to waste the meat. And I was sort of like, imagine that we've, spent all this time trying to get a deer and then you waste the meat. I think that would have been just the worst feeling in the world. So that was in my mind the whole time. Just make sure, just get it done, do it properly, focus on that. And that's the point. I didn't even look at what type of deer it was.
do you almost feel like you were there just basically to do a job, right? Essentially,
yeah.
Like you're there to help we spoke about this before, like even the pressure. Like I said, like, you haven't spent too much time on private blocks, but I made mention, I feel like there's pressure there from maybe just mentally that you have to pull animals off that property. There's that expectation from the farmer that, like, if we were going to go out there and, spend, a day or 2 days out in the block, like at the end of that we are harvesting animals.
Oh, I'm with you. Because if you're going out there and you're not taking a deer off the property when they want them off the property, like, I'm not saying you've got to wipe the property clean.
Yeah.
But if you go out there and you're empty-handed and you go out a couple of times empty-handed, surely that's in their mind going, this person's got no idea. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you there. I think that's right on top. Well, potentially it's what happened to the people on before us.
Yeah, potentially on the boot.
Yeah.
Just because they didn't harvest an animal.
They didn't get anything. Yeah. So You're there to do a job.
So that's just my mindset now. You're there to do a job, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's where I've got no issue, especially we were originally going out to play with the thermal and night shoot.
yeah,
We had the spotlight there, and we never even got to that stage because we didn't need to. But that was the idea behind it. At the end of the day, it was then what about coming home though? And then we're pulled over to the side of the road, and I've gone, I know there's deer usually sort of hang in this public sort of land here. Obviously not shootable, and we weren't shooting or anything like that. And I just wanted to check if they were there with the thermal, just playing with the thermal again, and pulled it out. I went, oh, yeah, they let me range them 20 metres away, and then passed it over to you, and they were just chilling.
just crystal clear too.
How good, yeah. Yeah, so, but it was pitch black.
Yeah.
Like, we could not see anything into that area.
All we saw was the headlights of the car, that was it.
Exactly, and then you pulled up the thermal, and it's just there, and you just watched them, and then watched them walk off into the bush.
It's just a game changer.
It's how good is it? I'm so glad that I know I've been saying I'm going to get one. So glad I finally did. I think it's just great. But even, as you said, for that property owner, if you go on there and you knock a couple off in spotlight, using the thermal to see them and then spotlight them or whatever it might be, you're doing a service. So then if you go back and hunt and try and hunt and you don't get anything, I feel like the pressure's off.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I feel the pressure is off is because, I did really, and I still do, I want to get a deer on state forest. That hasn't gone. And I'll celebrate that as a first too, because I don't think they need to be like one and onlys in the journey. But having somewhere to go and get meat, then when you go away for a couple of days on state forests, because it's going away from the family and all that, I feel like the pressure's a bit off if there's already meat in the freezer, because I don't need to bring it home. But if I do, it's a bonus. But the rest is just that enjoyment of hunting too.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. They have different elements. They're it's like so many puzzle pieces to the whole, picture. But it's been pretty cool. So that's been good. What are you going to do with the rest? Have you got much left?
There's still a bit left. Got the ribs. Got some of the leg.
Have you done the backstrap yet?
No, I haven't, no.
Oh, man. Really? I would have thought that's the first one to go through.
I'm saving it. I think that's going to be on the coal barbie, I reckon.
Ooh, okay.
What do you think?
I
Just simple, just salt, pepper, oil.
Yeah.
Just on the coal bar.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep it whole or are you going to slice it up?
I want to do a whole.
Ooh.
Slice it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And rest it and then...
So I think I'm going to save that for when a few people are over, have a few beers.
Nice.
And,
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to make more jerky because that came out super good. And then I've got a few... I chopped mine up for stir fries. I did a few different things. Butterflied some so we can put... My wife does... She fills them and then wraps them and then we put some bacon around it. Oh, it's amazing. Some people say you put bacon on it's cheating, but I think, hey, like it's about the flavour and experience and like the meat. Let's be honest, it doesn't need the bacon, but that's just another flavour involved. That's cool. Yeah, so good. So good.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to cook it up a few different ways though.
That's fun too.
Yeah.
But I've been super like, don't waste any. I know how much time I've put into this. Do not waste any. Don't burn it. Telling the kids, eat it all. But it's worked out really well. It's been good fun, but it was a pretty cool story. I'm glad you shared in it. I'm glad you came on to talk about it too. So, yeah, well, that's mine. Let's hear your story. What about you? Like, you've done a fair bit of pig hunting. I know that's one of your favourite things to do.
No, just in general. Like, I'm 30, I think about this, I'm 36 now. Been shooting since roughly 16, 17 when I was young. Just pretty much how everybody starts shooting, like running around paddocks, like chasing rabbits with a single shot 22 Lithgow.
Yeah.
And done that for a few years and just kind of worked my way up. And I spent a fair bit of time like hunting out at like Narrabri, out that way.
Yep.
Like chasing pigs around the scrub.
Yeah.
Shotguns and double aughts. So it's pretty scary stuff, but a lot of fun. So much fun. But most of my time now, I spend hunting. I just spend a lot of time helping owners, like cull roos. So I spend most of my time now just culling roos, yeah.
Do you eat the roo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Love roo, so yeah.
Roo's good. I think if you're lucky enough to have a property for roos and then get some deer as well, pretty good. Like your meat's almost... You're set up for meat. You don't have to really go buy any. Like you will. I don't know about you. I still like beef and I still like lamb. So I'm still going to grab some of that even if you had that steady supply of venison. Like I can definitely switch it out.
The same thing with kangaroo. Like, I couldn't just live solely on kangaroo. I'd have to mix it up, right?
I like the flavour. That's the thing. Like, I like the different flavours, and maybe that's why I've never thought it's gamey. It's just a different flavour. Same as kangaroo. I love kangaroo. But yeah, same thing, fish. I don't know how. I couldn't live on just one thing. So even if you were just living on venison, I don't think I could do that. Like, I like it, but I get bored. I like to mix things up, even cooking-wise. Like, you know, I love my pellet grill smoker, but I'm not going to use just the pellet grill smoker. I'm going to use I get bored just using that. So I want to cook on different things. And I've got the charcoal barbie and just to mix it up and have fun.
You just got to experiment, right? So
100%.
Like even with roux, I cook it so many different ways now. So even roux vindaloo, that goes all right. I just literally just treat it like beef. That's it. Like slow cook a lot of it, but like, yeah, I've just served it to people and they just can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like even make like roux ragouts and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think if you
people just swear it's beef. Like,
if you hang it and you treat it well, there's a big difference. There's a big difference between the kangaroo you buy at Coles and Woolies as opposed to the kangaroo you do yourself and you hang yourself and you process it. And one of my mates, he eats a lot of kangaroo. I gave him some that I had done as well, and he just couldn't believe the flavour difference on it. And it's a big one. Like, I think maybe it's that they rush them through the abattoir. I don't know. I'm guessing that would be I don't know what happens in the chillers, but maybe they're not wanting them there as long because that's obviously taking up space, which then, you know, means less out the door, which means less money and productivity. So I'd understand that, but yeah, they definitely taste different. But you can't really go wrong unless you dry out roux. But if you're putting them in, you know, a vindaloo, how good's that?
oh, it's unreal. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'll look into that roux vindaloo.
I might have to take some tips off you. I think you've mentioned before that you do the tail there.
Yeah, do the tail.
So I've never eaten tail. So
tail in the slow cooker.
Yeah,
love it. I really actually want to try the tail smoked and then into the slow cooker just to see if it enhances that flavour that little bit more when it breaks it down. But yeah, no, tail, I'm a big fan of the tail. Fiddly to eat, but nice. Yeah, very nice. But good fun.
I think the next one for you now will be, have you shot a pig before?
No.
That could be it.
I haven't shot a pig. I'm not eating a pig though.
Be your first pig, right? That'd be the next one, right?
No, yeah, but I'm not, do you eat your pigs?
I have done in the past, but normally just leave them now.
Pigs make me a tad nervous just with all the different things like brucellosis, Q fever. They just make me a tad nervous doing that. I don't know. Like it does.
I think it's just too much risk for me, right? Like
I think that's it. Now that I've got when I was younger and no family, I probably wouldn't have given it as much of a damn. But yeah, now with the kids and family, it's just I can't afford to get Q fever or something like that. That would be just
wipe out the family or something.
That would be a nightmare. You catch enough issues from bloody daycare if I know. I don't need to get something from an animal. But so what's next? Get New Year, dear.
I think so. I think out that block out Marulan. So there's some pretty nice fellow bucks out there. So I think you'll have to come along for that journey as well.
I want to film it. I want to get it on film. I'll just have you get a nice buck on film as your first. That will be cool.
Yeah, but I think that'll be the next trip. So
yeah, cool.
Definitely. So
I think it's hot now. It's hard though, isn't it? The heat's a bit different. That's what I noticed with our one too. The heat. I was very nervous about the meat spoiling because of the heat. Didn't, thankfully.
Yep.
It's turned out perfect, but we did do a pretty good job of getting it, like the guts out pretty quick and then having it chopped up pretty quick into the fridge pretty quick and deboned. I think that helped too, to really get that temperature down so it didn't spoil. But yeah, that makes me nervous at the moment because we're getting into summer. It's pretty hot.
That's when the fishing starts, right?
It is, 100%. And you're a fisher too.
Yeah, so, I love fishing.
Yeah, I was trying to wet the line on my little camping experience with the kiddies, but the twins had a bad one and didn't get into it. So the salmon were running down the south coast, and I had my mini rig set up ready to go, and ended up having to come home early. But what do you do? So that's coming. But hopefully, I'm gonna get up to Queensland to the family soon and go for a fish. The old man's got a boat up there, so I'll be hitting that up. So where do you fish?
Mostly in Botany Bay. Yeah, I also spent a lot of time fishing in kayak as well, just mostly like bread and butter fishing. Like, just chasing flathead whiting, trevally, kind of thing. So
it's good fun.
If I'm out on the boat, so I got a little 4.2 metre runabout. We're like just in Botany Bay as well, just fish like Mullineau Point. So yeah, it's good kings there. They're always a lot of fun.
King is good. Yeah, good. I said to the wife, I really want to target just to get some fish in the freezer.
Yeah.
I've been lucky. My brother did a big trip to Queensland. He gave us some wahoo, gave us some coral trout, gave us some, what else did he bring back? Tuna. So he brought a heap back and he ate that much on the boat. He sort of went, oh, I'm sort of a bit overfished because they were out there for 8 days or 9 days. So he's like, I'll just take it. So I didn't say no, I was like, that's just too nice a fresh fish to say no to. But yeah, I'm keen, like just more just a bit of variety. Get it yourself. I love that stuff. I think that's...
Oh, so rewarding. Right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's hard to express though, isn't it? I find it hard to tell someone why it means so much when you do it yourself. I don't know. Do you have that feeling?
No, not really. No.
No? You can say, because you've had to work for it. If they're not a fisher or a hunter, I don't think they get it. Like you think about fishing. It's not as simple as just dropping a line in the water. Obviously, I'm talking in general, but the time and effort, the boat, cleaning the boat, keeping it.
Yeah, there's a lot in it. You got to make it worthwhile, right? Like, yeah.
That's the thing.
The time of year.
The money invested.
The money you invest, right? Yeah.
Time. It's a big deal. There's a lot to it than just getting that one piece of fish. It's if you broke it down, you'd say, geez, it's an expensive fish. Per kilo for flathead, you'd go, geez, it costs a lot.
I think that's where we're different, right? Like if I'm like just doing like just bread and butter fishing or fishing in general, right? I'm a bait fisherman. Like I always try to get my own bait. Like I won't go out and buy bait. I just refuse to do it. Because I think about that, I'm like, well, if I've invested $100 into a fishing adventure for the day, right? I might as well just go to the fish market, right?
Yeah, well, but no, 100%.
It sounds stupid, but I'm there for a reason too, right? I want to
fish. You're there to catch fish. So. You're there to, because you do have to look at it. I always talk about this, and some people don't understand, but I talk about how your time and what you're worth. Like if you, whatever you make it work, and then decide, oh, well, am I worth that? Or if someone else can do it at half the price, is it worth paying them because your time's a bit more, valuable if you break it down that way? And I think it is, but then you look at how much time. Yes, it's a hobby, but you're sort of there with a reason. I don't know, it's a bit different. It's different to playing sport, I find. Like if you go to play sport, you're just playing sport. Win, lose, whatever. But when you're going fishing, you're there to catch fish, to get the fish to eat.
Yeah.
Now, it's a hobby because I'm enjoying being in the outdoors, but I'm there for a reason. I want to execute on that reason. And if I don't, it's not frustrating, but it's sort of part of it. I don't know, especially with kids now. I find that if I go away with my kids at home and the wife's looking after it and I don't bring anything back, I feel a bit guilty. Like I shouldn't, and she definitely doesn't want me to, but it just is that natural feeling that I've spent all this time away and I'm coming back empty-handed. So different. It's just
But you've got the memories, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and just I'm all about that. I just not the meat. That's some of the best part. As you said, hey, when I got it, we got meat. So I don't remember saying that, so I'm glad we're talking about this because it's part of the journey too. And hearing, I'll be able to reminisce on this, and the kids will be able to listen and go, "Oh, you're an idiot! You didn't even know what type of deer it was." But that's good fun. All right, man. Well, appreciate it. I'm sure you're going to be on again at some stage. When we get yours, you're coming back on.
That'd be nice. That'd be fun. Yeah.
We'll get.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
No, hey, you were on the journey.
I'm glad I managed to go on the journey with you.
I appreciate it, and I'm very thankful for you taking me on, and it's been really good. And I'm glad the first one came about the way it has, and that's why I just said a few people kept wanting to know about the deer. I was like, nah. Dan's coming on. We're gonna talk about it because I want even this just to have this to remember and whatnot. So, but no, I really appreciate it, man. So
yeah, thanks
for being on the journey, and hopefully yours isn't far away, and we'll be getting you up there, and people will be hearing your story about this big buck that you get.
Oh, my time will come, mate.
It's coming. Yeah. I don't think it's too far away either. So the bigger question is whether it's going to be a Rusa stag or a fallow buck. That's the question in my mind for you.
Yeah, I think we lucked out there with those two properties, though, right?
I think, very much so. So, yeah, excited. So, can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Bye for now.
If you have a topic, guest, question, or any gear that you want to hear about on the podcast, shoot us an email, australianhuntingandbeyond@gmail.com. Alternatively, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All the links are in the show notes. If you haven't already, make sure you give us a review and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.